Hi, welcome to this video. Congratulations on signing up. I know you're probably super busy. You have household chores to take care of, you have kids, you have office work, and these COVID times have made all of these things worse, right? Yet you've taken that time to spend with me on learning how to become a have it all rockstar mom. You're one of the very few women who understand the importance of investing in yourself. You believe in yourself and you have the courage to desire more from life. That's what makes you amazing. And that's all I need from you. Because what I'm going to share with you today is going to literally change the course of your life. It's going to change the way you look at your life. And it's going to open up possibilities that you didn't even realize existed for you. That's why I'm so excited to be with you today. Because I know what I'm going to share with you is exactly what you need to hear to live your dream life. What I'm going to do is just show you some of the obstacles that come on our way as working women, which stop us from utilizing our strengths to achieve what we are capable of, to live the dream life we want to live. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to just help you see the power that you already have and give you the tools to exercise that power in favor of you. So you can go and achieve whatever you want to achieve out there and do it while you're enjoying a happier and fulfilled life. So I'm truly thrilled to be sharing with you not only my story, but also my clients' stories of how they have used these tools to change their life and become have it all rockstar moms. My name is Kavita Popli, and I'm a certified performance and life coach. I help smart, ambitious women leaders master their mind and turn into have it all rockstar moms who live a guilt free, happier life while performing at 10x level. I was born in northern part of India and raised in Chandigarh, a beautiful city. And I've done my engineering there from Punjab Engineering College. And then I came to South, to Mysore, to work with Infosys. That's how I started my career. And I've pretty much been in South ever since. I did my master's in business administration from Pune, where I also found my husband. And then I worked for 13 plus years in corporate world in different roles. Um, Joined as a software engineer and then rose up the ladder to different leadership roles within different MNCs, both in consulting and industry. The companies I took leadership roles in were Deloitte and Diageo. My last role was with Diageo as the vice president, where I headed the HR governance function globally for Diageo, and it had team across Europe and India. So that's about my professional experience. Now um, I was, you know, I was raised in a family with very limited financial means. So one thing I had understood since I was a child was I have to really study hard to get the life that I really want to get. And I think I'm so glad that I got this learning early in my life because I've continued to invest in myself all throughout. And that habit has stayed with me so far, which is the reason why I was able to get such good leadership roles at such an early age. And so as I was raised with that kind of environment, I had this dream of living a happily ever after life, right? I dreamed of having a romantic partner and living a beautiful life. And actually, when I married Vamsi, my husband, you can actually see his photograph and my son's photograph right there. Um, when I married him, I thought that my life was set, like it was going to be happily ever after, except that things didn't go as planned. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, things um, didn't really fall apart, but it was just not how the way I expected it. Like, even though technically I had everything I dreamed of, I created everything I dreamed of. I had incredible professional success, fat paycheck that was hitting my account every month, roles that my peers could only dream of. I had loving husband. I had a have a son who recently turned 6 years old. I have a loving family and set of friends and everything that screamed perfect life. And yet, there was this continuous instability that I experienced, this inner instability, this dissonance. Because professionally, I was very confident and I knew how to get huge projects done and handling global teams. All of that was amazing. But when it came to me personally and how to handle my own emotions, I just didn't understand how to do that well. And I used to feel conflicted. I used to feel emotionally drained. And I couldn't like understand how to really take care of these relationships. And being a control freak, it freaked me out, not having a control on that and having such a huge dissonance between the two parts of me. But I didn't know any better. So I continued my life that way, believing that life is like that. Like that's the experience of life, that suffering is not optional. And that changed in 2018 on one weekend when I was doing my favorite thing, which is searching for self help books and looking at videos of self help. And what happened was I found this video of a coach coaching a woman, and this woman had come with a problem. She was talking about how she doesn't feel appreciated at work, her boss doesn't appreciate her, and she cannot work to her potential. And this coach coached this woman in a short video of 12 minutes 59 seconds. And within that time frame, she was able to take this woman from this is the problem, my boss doesn't appreciate me, to you know what, I am not able to give myself the appreciation. And I remember looking at that video and feeling almost stunned, like, oh my God, this is exactly what I'm doing. I am blaming others in my life for my emotions. And I remember sort of just that moment where I froze and I'm like, whatever this woman has, I want it because this is the solution to what I've been looking for. And I was so right because I started following her immediately, following her podcast, and I joined her coaching program. And literally, my life changed completely after that. First internally, and then externally. I started to feel amazing. I started to see how I was creating my own misery. I started to really see my life more clearly. It was as if that spectacles that I was talking about was given to me, and I could make sense of my emotions. I could make sense of life, and I could see my own power so well. So, what changed then externally was I started to enjoy my work. I started to really have a great connection in relationship with my husband. I started to get clarity of what I wanted to do with my life. And I realized the profession I was in, even though I could really enjoy it, that's not is the best use of my strengths and what I love doing. So I changed my career, became a coach. I started my podcast. It's a weekly podcast where I share the experiences of my clients as well as me. I've released 35 episodes so far. And I started my company, which is called Mind Tales Consulting, with a mission to give the clarity that I have received to as many people as possible. And my vision is to be able to impact at least 1 million people through this work and share this gift that I have received with 1 million people in my lifetime. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to share with you 5 challenges that I have seen working women face, working moms face, that actually stop them from living a happier and fulfilled life. Okay. And you know what's interesting is when I started working with working moms, I thought their journeys would be all unique. And of course, I had my own journey of how I worked on myself and what the challenges came for me. But I thought each of these working women will have a different journey and different challenges that they face. And you know, when I started working with working moms, everybody had different goals. Somebody had a goal of actually professionally doing well and getting a promotion. The other woman had a goal of spending more time with kids and finding how to balance her life. The other woman had a goal of actually, having a good relationship with her mother-in-law so she can feel sane inside. So everybody had a different goal when they came up to me, right? However, as I started to work with them, and we continued working for like 3, 4 sessions, and we continued to go deeper into what the real cause of their problem is, then these patterns started to emerge, these themes started to emerge. And I realized, irrespective of what the goals are, the obstacles on the way of these women were all the same. And those are the obstacles that I'm going to share with you. I won't be surprised when I share with them these one by one with you. You're probably going to be nodding your head and saying, yep, I face this too. Yep, this is true for me as well, right? Because this is what I'm seeing most of the women struggle with. These are the reasons, not only for why you're not feeling happy and fulfilled inside, but these are the reasons you're not performing to your potential. These are the obstacles that are actually stopping you from truly expressing your authentic self and doing what you're capable of. So, with that context, let's jump right in and let me share with you one by one the challenges that working women face today, which likely you face as well, and what that looks like for you and how you can overcome them. Okay? The first one is that we feel guilty we aren't doing enough. And what's interesting is that guilt came from very different reasons for the women that I talked to. For example, few women felt guilty because they felt that they were not giving enough time to their kids. Some other women felt guilty because they felt that they weren't contributing to the workplace, to the role that they have in the manner they're capable. They're not able to give as much time to work because of their other priorities. A few other women felt guilty because they're not able to do enough for their parents or in-laws. And I was coaching a woman who was not working, so she had taken a break, and she felt guilty that she was not contributing her skills to the society, that she was so selfish and focused on her family, and that she was not utilizing the skills she's learned. So, as you can see, the guilt came from very different factors for all of these women. Yet the theme of not doing enough was the same. And what's interesting is that um, when we analyzed that when these women feel guilty, what is it that they do? What is the outcome of that or impact of that on their life? And what came out was that every time the women start to feel guilty, they start finding more evidence of how they should be guilty. Like they attract more guilt, and they do the opposite of what they want to be doing or what they feel guilty about. So, for example, if they feel guilty that they are not spending enough time with their kids, doesn't mean they're actually spending more time with their kids. Even if they end up spending hours, they're actually not spending quality time. Because when they're spending that time in their brain, they're focused on how they're not doing enough, how they are not able to manage this, and how this is not working out. So they're not actually focused on being with the kids at that time. They're not present with the kids. They are in their own brain and overthinking, which is causing them to feel worse. So if a woman is guilty that she is not contributing to the work as much, it doesn't mean that she's actually using that time to contribute more, or she's working towards learning new skills that will help her do better in the role. What she does is either she buffers, which is she's just watching Netflix because she doesn't feel like doing the work, or she just keeps thinking about how she's not doing enough and how this life is not going as per her plan, and all of that overthinking is actually creating more of evidence for her to feel guilty because now she's actually not doing enough, right? Because she's spending that time in that overthinking. So that's consistent theme that came out. That moment we are thinking we're not doing enough and we feel guilty, we attract more and more guilt, and we create more and more evidence of why we should feel guilty because we are not performing to the capacity we're capable of, right? So that's the number one. I'd love for you to reflect. Are you someone who feels guilty? And if so, what is your reason for feeling the guilt? The second one, which is a common challenge that we all working women face, is that we are rushed. We don't think we have enough time. Right? And this is one of the things you hear working women say a lot of, that I'm very busy, I don't have time, I don't even have time for myself, I don't even have time to breathe. Sometimes people say, I hear them, right? And if you really think about what's going on there, is that of course we have loads of things to do, right? I'm not denying that we don't. In fact, we live in a society where women still end up taking more load. Even though they're working, they still end up heavy lifting on most of the household work, right? So we have household chores to take care of, we have children to take care of, we have our office work to take care of, and all of that is enough to keep us busy, right? But what is really important for us to know is that our relationship with time, how does it affect us? Like, how does it result in us having less time? Because we feel rushed, what does that look like in our life? Now, what I did with several women in my coaching is that I um, ask them that when they feel overwhelmed, like when they feel like they have too much to do and they don't have enough time and they feel overwhelmed, what do? And pretty much similar to guilt, the moment a woman feels overwhelmed, what she does is she actually does the opposite of what she needs to be doing. So you're overwhelmed because you think you have more to do. And when you feel overwhelmed, what do? You don't do anything. You just sit and say, oh my God, there's just so much to do. How will I do this? Your brain starts to work on finding evidence for how there is so much that you have to do versus actually doing the work, versus planning and prioritizing and creating, right? So you are actually creating more evidence of that, yes, you have too much to do, and this is a spiral that kind of continues. And when I asked one of the women I was coaching on time management, that how does she feel when she thinks about I have too much to do, and she explained to me this picture that she visualizes. She's like, I feel like Kavita, I'm this being slave driven by someone to say, do this, do more of it, do more of it, right? And it's not surprising when you're feeling like that. Imagine the kind of quality of work that you're going to do with that. Imagine if with that feeling you're trying to spend time with kids, how quality time that would be. Imagine if you're doing work with your feeling of overwhelm, how good or quick you would be. Of course, things will take more time than they typically do because you're feeling overwhelmed, right? If I give you 5 hours extra every single day that nobody else has, just you have, like literally think of it as time clock, that I stop the clock for everybody else, but you have 5 extra hours. Do you think your problem will get solved? It's a good question to reflect on, right? I wonder what you just said. Because the moment that I asked this question, they said no. They said, when they reflected, they said, we don't think the problems will go away because time is actually not the problem. And that's what I would like you to think about as well. Because if you really think about what time is just a construct, a concept that we have in our mind of how we live our life. We just, at some point, all of us decided that we will have 24 hours in a day. This is how we're going to measure time, right? And now the way we think about time, the way our relationship with time is, actually affects our experience of life, because we're trying to squeeze time, and we are having a perception that we don't have enough time. That's actually causing us to feel so constrained and pressured, that with that pressure that we feel around time, we end up procrastinating more. Things end up taking more time because we are feeling stressed, and then we create more evidence that we don't have time, and we keep living in that cycle, and that becomes our reality. And we feel so convinced that this becomes the fact of our life, that we are so busy, we don't have time. And the clients tell this to me as if it's a fact, but it is not. It's something that we've created by the way we think about time. And the problem that we have is not that we don't have enough time. The problem is what we are thinking and how we are feeling. Because we feel negative emotions more time than normal, that's the reason why we don't have time. Because things take more time than they would otherwise, right? So that's about the second. So let's move on to the third. Okay, so this one is another interesting one. We feel selfish when we prioritize our needs. And what was very interesting for me as I coached these women was to see, even though women are so independent, they are working at great roles in MNCs, they still feel that when they are giving time to themselves and they're doing something for themselves, they're being selfish. In a woman's words, she said, I feel like I'm stealing away time from my kid when I'm reading a book. I was like so amazed. Isn't that crazy that we think that we don't even deserve to give ourselves and our needs priority without taking away from our kids? That's the reality I'm experiencing. And it is not even about, um, it's not different for women who are not working and working. We all feel selfish in some way when we prioritize our needs. But if you really see and combine this with the second one we talked about, we don't think we have time. We're already doing so much more. We think we need to keep doing more and more and more, right? And then we feel selfish when we don't prioritize our needs. So what happens is we take away all the things that we think are frills that we shouldn't be doing. Like, we already don't have time, so we can only do the basic activities. We can only take care of the kids, take care of the household work, and work. There's no time for fun and play. There's no time for workout. There's no time for talking to friends and hanging out and enjoying, right? And that's why what women do is they keep, like, they literally take out everything which is fun from their calendar, and the calendar is filled with stuff that they have to do. And then they feel overwhelmed because they still feel they don't have time, and then they feel guilty that they're not doing enough, and those negative emotions make them feel so drained and stressed. And then they figure out, why are they not enjoying all of this, right? Have you experienced this? While prioritizing your own needs, do you feel like you're taking away time from your kids, or that you should be giving this time to do some household work, or helping out your in-laws? That's the way I would like you to think about, is that if you don't take care of the feelings that you are having, then you are going to not be able to contribute to others in the way you're capable of. If you don't take care of yourself, your own needs, you're not going to be able to give your best to your kids, to your husband, to your role at work. It's plain simple. Because as we saw in the earlier example, it's the state of mind that's actually leading you to be productive or not productive. So if you want to be doing something in a better way, then you've got to be watching the feeling you're having. And what happens when we don't prioritize our needs is we have thoughts like, oh my god, I don't have time for myself, I'm not doing anything for me, I am just sacrificing myself for others needs. And when others don't do things that you feel they are doing to make you feel better, then you start to even take that as a negative evidence to feel bad about yourself. you know this is the reason why then you become so dependent on others to appreciate you, because you feel like you're making sacrifice in your own life by not prioritizing your needs, and people are not even realizing that you're making sacrifice, right? That causes the negative emotion, right? But what happens if you think, when you take that some time for yourself, it's not the act of doing what you are doing that actually makes the difference. It's the act of um, thinking differently that creates that positive feeling for you. So, for example, a woman, if she likes reading and if she takes, let's say, half an hour to read every night before sleeping, it's not that the reading makes her feel happier and sleep well. It's the thoughts she has that calm her down that result in her feeling better. Because the thoughts that run in our mind when we do things that we like is, I'm able to do this. I can, like, I'm doing what I love doing. I got time for me. I'm enjoying this. I love doing this. These are the thoughts that start triggering in our head when we do things that we like. That's why it is important to do things that we like. Because even if you spend half an hour or even 15 minutes, and you start to get that positive vibe because the thoughts start to shift from I'm doing so much and others are not doing and they don't care and nobody's doing their bit, I'm just doing too much more. From that thought process which makes you feel drained and stressed and leads you to overthink, you then move on to the thought process of, you know what, this is amazing, I love doing this, I should do more of it, how can I do more of it? And that shift in energy actually gives you the energy, the positive energy, to do so much more in your work, with your kids, with your family, that you suddenly feel like, oh my God, I'm so energized just because I worked out. Now, it's not the workout that led to this, it's actually the thinking, the positive feelings that got created by those thoughts that lead you to contribute so much more to others. So when we feel selfish, when we don't prioritize our needs, we are not able to give to others to the capacity we are capable of, right? Okay, so let's move on to the fourth one. This one is very, very, very relevant for us women, right? We are very sensitive to what others have to say. When you think about it, every single woman I've coached feels this way. She's very sensitive to what others have to say. You know, what's interesting is as I coach women, a lot of times we talk a lot about husbands because whenever I ask them something, they go back to, this is what my husband says, this is what my husband says. I'm like, but what do you think about it? What do you believe? And what's interesting for me is how much attention we give to what others have to say. We take everybody else's thoughts and we start interpreting it and start brewing it in our minds, and then this whole thing causes a lot of drama in our head which literally drains us. If you think about what happens when we're sensitive about what others are saying, we really think our feelings come from what others say or do. If somebody says you're not good enough, I feel bad. So what I do is, my brain is like telling me they shouldn't be doing this stuff. How can they say this? How can they not see what all I'm doing and just see what I am not doing? How can they say I'm not taking care of kids in a way that is good? How can they say that I should be doing it differently? I should be raising my kids differently. Now, if you really see why this is a problem, is not because they say that those things. The reason they are a problem is because you believe them, because you start to believe that they might be right. Because somewhere we women are not giving ourselves the validation, we are not giving ourselves the appreciation, we don't believe that we are doing enough. That's why when somebody else says that, it hurts us, right? Like the first one we covered was we feel guilty, we already think we're not doing enough. And when people also say that out loud, it hurts because we believe that. And I'm remembering this example of a women leader I was coaching. And even though she's at such a good position and she's amazingly confident, she's capable, she knows her stuff, like she just walks out with confidence, right? But what others say really matters to her. In her case, it's the stakeholders. If you think about a woman leader, if she doesn't invest in herself, in her confidence, in her own thinking and belief in herself, then what others are going to say is going to matter a lot, right? And if you think about how you become a leader, like in the junior roles that you have, you can be, you have set tasks to do. So you can do really well at those tasks and get appreciation for those tasks. And you keep doing good, and there's a lot of validation, and things are working out well. So it's easier for you. You feel validated, right? But as you go up the ladder in corporate organizations, you don't get that validation easily, because you have bigger tasks now. You're a leader. You have to come up with a vision, and you have to believe in your vision even when others don't believe in it. They can't see it yet. If you're looking for that validation every single step on the way, then you're not going to be able to drive the vision all the way through execution for everybody else to see that what you were thinking was right. And the problem that we have, that I think contributes to women not really going to the levels of executives in corporate world today, is this: because women deep down are feeling guilty. They feel there's something wrong with them, or they feel that they are not doing enough. So they are so critical of themselves that they keep looking for external validation more. And when they go reach a certain senior leadership stage, they don't find that validation, and they haven't worked on themselves to give themselves the validation. So what happens is this conflict internally becomes stronger and stronger, and that becomes the reason either they are not happy in the jobs that they have, so they cannot contribute to the capacity, or they just leave out, they drop out, which is such a pity, right? Like, these women are actually doing way more than required. They're actually capable, but just because they don't believe in their ideas enough, just because they're looking for others to validate them, they don't follow through their idea. And that becomes the reason they don't express their potential as much as they can. And it's true even for women at, it starts right from very beginning. Like, if you think about it, a lot of women I've seen are so dependent on what their husbands say. They just believe what their husbands say. It affects them so much. And if you really think what happens when our husbands say things to us, there are two ways we react. One is we are like, oh my God, how can you say that? You always say that, and it hurts me. And we don't realize that it hurts us because we are just believing them to be true. Like, how does it matter? Your husband is a different person. He thinks differently. Just because he thinks and says something doesn't mean that's true. But we believe it true, and we're like, oh my God, how can you say that? Right? Like, um, you don't see all the other things, and you hurting me. Well, we're not realizing we are causing our own hurt. Because if we didn't believe, we gave them the freedom to say what they want to say, then, and we didn't believe them, then they can say anything, and we're like, okay, that's your opinion, that's fine. Like, we can disagree with them and still love them immensely. It doesn't have to be about you hurt me because I don't think that's true. Simple, right? But that's not what happens. We're like trying to control them. We're like, don't say this because I feel hurt. Don't say this because I feel guilty. Don't do this because I feel stressed. What they do makes us feel stressed. Why? Because we have a thought that we are not doing enough. Because have a thought they might be right. But we don't take that responsibility, and we say, husband does this, that's why I feel this way. Right? Or the other thing, the second thing that happens when husbands say or share their opinions, which they do a lot of, like my husband shares a lot of opinions, right? And for a longest time, I used to start believing everything because the confidence with which he would say is amazing. Like, if you think about the women versus men, women are thinking, oh my God, I am not doing enough, I don't know this, I'm not as capable. So they are all, if their capability is this, women think their capability is this, and men think their capability is this. So they keep sharing, they have a lot of confidence, they keep sharing, and we believe them to be true. So we trump our own ideas, we crush our intuition, and we believe in them, and we start going their route. And we live what I call a borrowed life, that where you're not taking decisions for yourself, you're just getting influenced by what others have to say about your life. And in the process, you reduce your confidence in yourself so much that then you're like, you don't have confidence to go after your big dreams because you've not been practicing it all these while, right? So we're going to go to the fifth one. Now, here's the fifth one. Now, when I asked these women, what do you really want? What surprised me and is these are very independent, smart, ambitious women. And they didn't talk about their ambitions. They're like, I don't want like a huge promotion, or I don't want to become the CXO. I just want to sleep at night feeling like I've done the best I can, feeling peaceful and calm and happy. And I want to just enjoy my time doing what I'm doing. Isn't that amazing? That what we want is just peace and happiness when we have the capability to achieve so much more. Why is that? Because we don't know how to create our own peace and happiness. In spite of everything we have around us, we still don't feel peaceful and happy, right? So here's the summary or the implications of what challenges we face. The first challenge, we criticize ourselves. We feel guilty that we are not doing enough. Because we feel guilty we are not doing enough, we keep criticizing ourselves, we keep looking at the flaws that we have, so nothing ever seems enough. Now, I say this, that if you're feeling guilty that you're not doing enough, no matter how many hours you add to how much time you spend with your kids, you're still going to feel guilty, because your guilt is not coming from how much time you're spending. The guilt is coming from the thought pattern that you've developed, that I'm not doing enough. And irrespective of how much you do more, you're still going to think that way and you're going to still feel that way. So the problem is not that you're not spending time with kids. The problem is not that you're not contributing enough to the role. The problem is you're thinking that you're not doing enough. And that thinking is making you feel guilty and not do what you want to do. The second one, which is that we don't have time, the more we keep believing the story that we don't have time, we don't have time, we have too busy, we don't have time, we create that reality for ourselves because we feel overwhelmed. When we feel we think we don't have time, we feel overwhelmed. We don't utilize that time to the best possible manner. We procrastinate, we buffer, we take more time to do things that we can do quickly. We're not as productive, and that becomes the reason that we create the result that we don't have time. Of course, now we don't have time because we are taking way more time than what the things normally would have taken. The problem is how we're feeling. We're feeling overwhelmed, right? We deprioritize our own needs. We think we are selfish in prioritizing our own needs, but that drains us, that stresses us more, that doesn't give us any input that can change our thinking and change our feeling so we can be more productive. So that becomes the reason that we are not able to contribute to others in the way we are capable of. The fourth one, we get easily influenced by others. So we keep crushing our intuition and we keep reducing our confidence in ourselves. We don't build that confidence that we can take our own decisions and that our ideas are good and that we can fail our way to learn to achieve big goals. It reduces our confidence to even attempt things that we don't know how to do. In the fifth one, we keep chasing peace and happiness externally. Like we're doing all of these things. We're like struggling. We think of this engine. This is doing enough. It's not feeling good enough. But keep doing work, keep taking household work, keep doing this. But we're like, we're not finding peace and happiness. We're looking for peace and happiness in the doing more. We think that when we get that balance right, when we have that perfect balance between the work and the family, and we've got that figured out, then we can feel peace and happiness. But what we don't realize is we are working towards creating the opposite of that because of our own thoughts. We keep thinking in ways that doesn't give peace and happiness, because you can be peaceful and happy right here, right in the exact situation you're in right now. No matter whether your mother-in-law, what she says, what she's doing to you, no matter how your work situation is like, no matter what your kids situation is like, no matter what your husband's relationship with you is like, I can guarantee you can feel peaceful, happy, and fulfilled in the moment you are. You know why? Because peace, happiness, and fulfillment does not come from anything external. It comes from our thoughts. And if you keep having thoughts that I'm not doing enough, I am not being a great mom, I'm not spending enough time with the kids, I don't have time, I'm busy, maybe I'm doing something wrong, then you're not going to feel peaceful and happy. You're going to feel you are you're going to feel guilty, you're going to feel stress, you're going to feel unhappiness. So what's the real problem? Why is it this way? Why are we, in spite of having all the ingredients of a perfect life, why are we not happy and fulfilled? Why are we just chasing peace and happiness and not able to find it? The real problem is not that we are not doing enough. It's not that we don't have time. It's not that our family doesn't understand us or is not supportive. It's not the society is this way. The real problem is that we don't love ourselves unconditionally. We don't have confidence in us. We keep eroding that confidence. We don't believe in ourselves enough. And the biggest of all, we don't know how to manage our emotions. Emotions are the real differentiator between somebody who goes on to create the bestest work in their life versus somebody who doesn't, versus somebody who just does mediocre work. If you see all of these things we're trying to do in our life, which is the goals that we have, the things we want to achieve, it's only so we will feel a certain way. Everything we do is because of our emotions. Everything we do is either because of how we feel or how we want to feel. But here's the beauty of it: how we feel doesn't come from external things. How we feel comes from our thoughts. And when we learn to manage our thoughts and manage our emotions that get created by those thoughts, then suddenly we have the power to do anything, to feel any way we want, and to have the experience that we want of this life, right? However, our subconscious way of thinking is to think the thoughts that we've been talking about. Like we've been thinking about these thoughts, this thought pattern of I'm not doing enough, or what others say matters, or what our husbands say is important, or we shouldn't behave in ways that hurt others. Like we've been so ingrained with these beliefs, these thoughts, that we don't realize how we are creating our own misery, which is optional. right? And until we figure out how to change that thought pattern, we are not going to be able to feel peaceful and happy. No matter how many external situations change for us, no matter what goals we accomplish, no matter how people behave. Like people can behave in exact same ways that we expect them to, but if we don't know how to think or interpret it in a way that makes us feel happy and peaceful, we will not be able to, right? So until you change this consciously, this thought pattern, you're not going to be able to feel peaceful and happy, no matter what your external situations are. You're not going to be performing anywhere close to your potential, right? Because of how you will feel. You're not going to be able to make emotions work for you. You're not going to be able to teach your kids to be happy. Now, you can give them all the gyan and how they should be happy and how their happiness is all that matters. But how you're living your life every day is what they're going to learn too. So they're going to mirror you. If you get annoyed, you feel unhappy, you feel irritated, you feel dependent on others, you don't believe in yourself, that's what they're going to grow up to be. Like that's how it happens. That's why the way our parents were, it impacted us, right? That became our world. That's how we've been. Now, of course, we end up evolving ourselves because we get a lot more exposure when we come out of our houses and live our lives away from our parents. But what we experience in childhood, how we've seen our parents, has a huge impact on us. And imagine whatever you're experiencing today are the things that your kids are learning. So if you don't learn how to be happy and fulfilled, you're not going to be able to teach your kids. They're going to not learn what you tell them. They're going to learn what you live every single day. And if you don't know how to manage your emotions, how to make the emotions work for you, they are not going to be able to learn that because they will get confusing messages from you, from their fathers, from everybody around them, because nobody knows how to manage their emotions well, right? So you're going to be able to overcome your fears only when you change this thought pattern. You're not going to be able to do things that you wanted unless you learn how to confront that fear, unless you learn how to manage your emotions and your thinking. You're not going to be able to enjoy this beautiful experience called life. Life is going to become more of a suffering for you rather than all opportunity to celebrate and to do what you want to do, right? The reality that we really like. Now, we create our reality whether we see it or not, whether we realize it or not, whether we like it or not. So, when you learn to create your own reality, you realize that all you have to do is change your thoughts so you can create the reality you want. You can create any reality you want. So, here's the good news that I have for you. This power to manage your thoughts, manage your mind, is a superpower that you can actually acquire. It's a skill that you can learn, just like driving. When you're learning to drive, somebody has to teach you that this is clutch, this is gear, this is steering wheel. And in the beginning, you mess up. You don't know how to change the gear. You don't know when to press the clutch and when to press the brake and how does this all work. So you cannot, like when somebody starts talking, when you're trying to practice driving in the beginning stages, you're like, oh my god, stop, I can't figure it out, right? You have to learn that. But when you practice that, you get to a stage where you can, like, you're so good at it that has become your subconscious way of thinking. Like you don't even have to consciously tell your brain, do this, and then this is how you do the steering wheel and then press this. You don't have to do any of that. That is so practiced that it has gone into your subconscious way of thinking that now you don't even have to do it. Your body will just do what is needed. You can listen to podcast while you're driving. You can have a conversation. People can say whatever they want to say, and you're going to still be able to drive well because you practice this. This is what you have to do for your thought patterns. You have to change your thought pattern and build new connections in your brain. So the new thought pattern of you thinking in ways that brings up love for you, thinking in ways that brings up confidence, thinking in ways that serves you, that's the thought pattern that we have to develop, right? When you can learn that, you're going to become have it all rock star mom. Then you're going to realize there is literally nothing you can't achieve. That those people who said women can't have it all just didn't know how to do that for themselves. They didn't have that result. When you think you can have it all, you know what you're going to do? You're going to create that a reality. And I'll give you an now. If you said yes, you believe it. Here's how it's going to happen. Here's how it can be possible for you. This is exactly what I do in our coaching program. I have a 12-week coaching program where we do exactly this. We learn how to manage our mind. And when you learn to manage your mind, when you acquire this superpower to manage your mind, this is what happens. You learn how to create your own happiness and fulfillment, irrespective of what your situation is. You trust yourself. You learn to feel confident. You learn to make your own decisions from a place of love and confidence and abundance. You learn how to love yourself and others unconditionally. And you think about it, when you start to love yourself unconditionally, only then you're able to love others unconditionally. Because until then, you're so dependent on others for saying things and doing things that you like so that you can feel better. But when you love yourself, even if others are having an angry day, you can hold that space for them because you're not making it mean there's something wrong with you. You're like, okay, you're having a bad day. I understand. That's okay. Because you are fulfilled. You're loving yourself. You can give that space to others. But when you're struggling internally and your husband says something bad to you, you both are going to end up in a fight because you both are feeling really pathetic inside, right? So, this is what happens when you decide to work on yourself. You can love yourself unconditionally, you can love others unconditionally. Then, suddenly, what others say or what others are doing doesn't have that much impact on you. You learned to make it mean things that serve you rather than drain you. Here's what happens when you learn to do that. You start to feel amazing already and you start to enjoy everything you're doing. And you become 10 times more productive. Because imagine if your life was like you are doing all the things that you want to do and you're not doing anything that you don't want to do. You become 10 times more productive, right? That's exactly what happens to people who join my program. They are able to unlock their productivity because they are able to unlock their own happiness and state of mind, right? So you when that happens, you earn more money, you become more healthy because you start taking care of your health, you start setting and achieving impossible goals. And for me, the big factor is that you set a great example for your kids. You become an amazing parent because you feel so happy and fulfilled that that's what you give to your kids. And I said this once in a you know I think in a podcast I did, where I said that the best gift that you can give your kids is your own happiness. And I truly mean it. I've seen it. That if you are happy inside, you're going to be the best parent ever. And you're going to teach your kids to be happy, teach your kids to be creating their own happiness, right? You become a loving wife, you become a loving daughter, friend, you become unstoppable. That's how I think about it. When you learn how to manage your mind, you're literally unstoppable because you know that whatever you think, you can make it happen. How do we do it? There are two ways in which you can achieve these outcomes. I do this with women in two settings. One is the one on one coaching program, and one is the group coaching program. Now, one on one coaching program is more of a private setting. It's for women who like to have personalized attention, who have who want to do this in a more confidential, safe environment where they feel like they can completely open themselves up, right? So that's where we do it in the one-on-one setting. And then we have group coaching program where we actually work in the groups of 5 to 7 women. These are all working women, smart, ambitious women who have goals just like you. And they get together and they see each other experiencing the same things. Like, remember, we talked about how all of these women are struggling with the same things. All of you, all of us are struggling with the same issues inside. But me saying it will not come to life when you actually start to see that how there are similarities between what you are facing and what the other women are facing. Suddenly, like, you're going to get insights that you no longer, you don't even realize that you need it. Because when a woman is getting coached in a group setting and you're listening, you're like, oh my god, this is exactly what I do. And this is like, there's so much power in group coaching because you are able to see somebody else's life in a very neutral way. So you're able to see that and say, yeah, yeah, this is what this person is doing wrong, until you realize this is what I'm doing. And that is so powerful. And my women in the group coaching program has come now to me and say that they found it so effective to hear other people. Like, what happens is, in a typical coaching call, I would go one by one and say, okay, everybody gets coached one by one. So when I have covered, let's say, 1 or 2 women, and I go to the third one and I ask them, they're like, I already got coached, because what you talked to these 2 women, this is exactly what I had in mind, and I already got my answers. That is the power of group coaching. You didn't even have to say a word sometimes to get so much more. And a lot of times what happens is you're like getting motivation, right? Because the problems might be the same, but that problem, the way it is manifesting in your life, like you thinking not doing enough, the way it is manifesting in your life is in form of, let's say, your relationship with children. But when you see somebody else managing that really well but having the same issue in their work, you can kind of complement each other. Because when you look at the other woman, like, she's able to manage it, I can also do it. And there's so much more energy you get. Plus, nobody minds having that deep connection with women like you. Like, this is what we crave for and what we don't have time for. This is why in COVID times you're feeling so separated from each other, because we are not able to have those meaningful connections with each other. We're not able to do social settings. But when you can truly connect at that meaningful level with the women like you in a smaller, intimate setting, you're going to feel so connected. And that social need that all of us have to be understood and appreciated is going to be met through this. So that's why women who have joined group coaching program have found it to be both cost effective and way, way, way more powerful. So that's those are the 2 ways you can get these results for yourself. Probably the thinking that's going on in your mind right now might be that this all seems very surreal. How can I get a program that will help me make peaceful and happy, right? You might not believe me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you what my clients have to say. So we're going to go through the testimonials. You will hear from actual women who've gone through these programs to say how they changed their life in matter of weeks, literally. So let's see what other women have to say. Yeah.
Prior to starting these sessions, there was this constant feeling that of I had that I wasn't doing enough, that there was never enough time. Um, I was constantly unsatisfied, even after doing or spending my entire day in doing things. I would end up feeling very guilty that I haven't done enough, either for my office or for my personal life or in my relationships. Uh, Even be that with my husband, with my son, my parents, my in-laws, anyone. That led to, when I would go to bed at night, I would always feel very unsettled. So when I had a conversation with Kavita and she told me about these sessions that she was planning, I was all in. I really wanted to give it a shot because I was tired of feeling what I was feeling at that time. And well, when I did start taking these sessions, I started seeing things in an all new light. That the fact that just with a thought, just with a change in thought, you can change your feelings. You can change the way you're feeling right now. Um, that sort of empowerment, it scares you a little in the beginning, but it's quite liberating in truth, in reality. Other than that, little things, right? Like how to appear or be present in a relationship, how to prioritize, how to, you wonder, you always are in a rush to do things and you never pause and think. Um, when I started talking with Kavita, I realized that there are these key moments where if you just pause and think, you can just change the way you feel, figuring out what truly matters to you and what really does not. You were just prioritizing it due to some pressures that don't even exist. With her, I learned to take these little steps towards growth and living the life that I truly want to, where I have just this one shot at. So, this course is just great and very helpful. I honestly think that anyone, everyone should actually go for it and take it. Thank you so much, Kavita.
Hi, I'm Minakshi. I'm based out of Bangalore, working in Unilever. I happened to come across the program by Kavita. What started as a journey of curiosity has become an endless experience of numerous possibilities today. Every week, when she sits down with a topic, I really look forward to gaining some new perspectives. The words like belief, fear, relationships, courage has altogether different meaning in my life today. Thanks to Kavita that I am at the brink of making some of the biggest decisions of my life. Today they seem so obvious what seemed like toughest decisions yesterday. Thank you, Kavita. You've made it happen in my life. And I will urge each one of you to give yourself a chance of discovering these numerous possibilities, which today you might think they are far away, but trust me, they are just within your reach. All the best. Do experiences, because you may feel that coaching is not something which a normal person needs, but trust you me, after the experience you will realize why didn't you do it before. Thank you. Have a lovely experience.
I'm really excited to talk about my experience, which I've had with Kavita ji, because I've also done two trainings with her. I would say one 6 weeks training, that was my one-on-one training with her, and then I'm also doing a group coaching with her, which we have recently started. It's a 12 weeks course which we've started, and it is absolutely amazing again. I know her, since childhood, and we were together in a spiritual congregation. The best part was that I've heard her in the spiritual congregation as well in the childhood, and she was just amazing. She used to come up with a lot of practical points and ideas. It was so exciting to listen to her every time, and I learned a lot from her. I really admired her since my childhood. So, and then when we grew up, though, everybody got busy in life. So recently, I got an opportunity to get connected with her once again, almost after a decade. The time when I met her, recently, that was the time when I was actually going through a very bad phase of my life. From the very first week, I started started seeing some changes in me. And the best part was that Kavita ji, I really pushed her to give me the answers of my problems. I thought that I will share my problems, she will answer me, and I'll apply those learnings in my life, and I'll change my life. I had those things in my mind that I have so many problems, and I'm going to get the answers of my problems. She's my counselor, she will give me the answers. But nothing that sort of happened, and she did not give me answer of any single question. But the best part was, she gave me the control, or she made me realize that I have the answers of all my problems. I talked about the problem, the kind of questions she asked me. I only gave the answers of my all my queries, all my problems. And then gradually, when this happened, every time, one after the other, there was a problem. I talked about it. Then again, the way, the tools she applied, and then she made me realize, and I was only giving the answers, and they could be the best answers. And then later on, I realized there's nothing like best or worse answers as well. It is like everything is fine. So this is what something I realized. One thing, this gave me immense confidence. Yes, Deepika, you can do it, and only you can do it. So that was something. I got my confidence back. With the coaching program, Kavita ji gave me the tools with which I could deal with my emotions. I could love myself. Loving myself means loving everything about myself. And emotions are also part of me. Like my different parts of the body, emotions are also created in my mind. So mind, if it is my mind, it can create emotions, it can create thoughts. So that also belongs to me. I cannot just hate it. So I started developing compassion for my negative emotions. If somebody asks you that how did your last week go, I'm sure, and on a scale of 10, if you have to rate it, I'm sure you would not say 10 on 10. But believe me, I reached to that level, and I know all my coming days or weeks or years are going to be 10 on 10, because everything is fine. Whatever happens is just perfect. It's just that the thoughts we create to complicate our life. We only complicate our life, and by creating those thoughts. Otherwise, whatever is happening in this world is just neutral. Kavita ji, thank you so much for teaching me this. Now nothing affects me. And actually nothing affects anybody. It's just the way you perceive things. Everybody perceives things in his own way. And your perception creates thoughts, and the thoughts create emotions, and your emotions creates action, and then the result you get according to your actions. So the most important thing which has to change is your thought. Believe me, the best thing is, the important thing is, somebody has to hold your hand. I would just like to give a very small example. When we were in our childhood, we wanted to learn. I actually understood it after doing it. When we were in our childhood, we wanted to learn writing, and our parents held our hand. Our mothers, our fathers, our mother, our father held our hand, and then we learned to write. Had they not done it, we would not have maybe learn to write. So how much pressure is required? They gave us those motor skills. So in the same manner, I would say, that Kavita ji helped me with those thoughts, how to change those thoughts, and how to get those tool practice. That hand holding is, believe me, because I had already read so much. I So many self-help books, so many videos, so many Robin Sharma, so many. I If I start naming them, there'll be a long list. I have not left anybody. I've listened to so many people. But yes, it is for some time, and for some time you feel motivated, but once you get back to the same situation, you start reacting in the same manner. So that means you did not solve that problem. So this is something which helps us. And when Kavita ji held my hand, helped me in, yes, sailing through that boat, that was really amazing. Thank you so much, guys. And this is really, I wanted to share that I've changed my life to 360 degrees. Now I feel, yes, I'm confident, I have the control of my life, and I will live my dream life. I am living actually my dream life, enjoying it thoroughly, every moment of it, and it is so blissful. Thank you so much. I pray to God that you also get the same. You also achieve everything in your life and have a wonderful, beautiful life. Thank you so much.
Imagine this: a CEO. A CEO, how CEO operates, right? CEO is not um, reacting to what employees have to say. Like if an employee comes and starts shouting at the CEO on how you're running the company, or how you're not even, conscious of what's happening, and blah, blah, blah. CEO is not going to, like, get stressed about why is the employee saying like that. How can he say? Not going to be like, how can he say it and this and that. Not going to feel bad about it, right? CEO knows he's powerful, and CEO is not going to change decisions based on what others think, right? But that's what we do. Like if you think about, we are the CEO of our life, but we don't behave like a CEO. We don't behave as if we have the power over our own decisions. We don't behave as if we have the power to make our own choices. And we feel so reactive to what others have to say, right? But if we really become that CEO, we're not going to get affected by what others have to say about us. We're like, okay, you can have your opinion, but this is my decision, or this is my life, and this is what we do. There's no resistance, right? That's how I would like you to imagine yourself. And you feel in control. You feel in control of your mind, you feel in control of your life, and you feel authentic. Suddenly, the fears that you had no longer bother you, right? You're able to confront your fears, and then you're able to start to actually almost bring out your own unique self, your own uniqueness, and nurture it. You start celebrating your own authenticity. That's when you become a true rock star mom who has it all and who enjoys having it all. Like think of this image, this woman. She's playing violin. It's very evident that she's loving to play this violin, right? She loves to play it, but she's not out there screaming attention of, you know what, look at me, tell me that I'm playing good violin, right? She's just playing it. It doesn't matter to her whether others give validation to her or not. And at the same time, she's not hiding. She's not like, don't see me, I'm afraid to speak my mind, right? Or I'm afraid to play this violin. She's not hiding. She's just very confident with herself. If somebody says you're not playing good violin, she's not going to get bothered. She's like, okay, but I like playing it, so I'm going to play. That's how you can be when you become the rockstar mom. That's the power that comes with becoming the CEO of your own life, that you can have it all and you enjoy everything. So that's all I had for you. Now, I want to put the ball in your court. The question I have for you is, what do you think? Do you want to be this rockstar mom? How would your life be if you became this rockstar mom? Do you think it's worth investing in yourself to learn to manage your emotions and make them work for you? Do you think it's worth investing in yourself to learn to feel peaceful and happy all your life? Do you think it's worth investing in yourself to learn to not get affected by what people think and say about you? Do you think it's worth investing in yourself to start enjoying every single part of your life? Do you think it's worth investing in yourself to know how to teach your kids to manage their emotions? Do you think it's worth investing in yourself to learn to live your dream life? Well, I hope you said yes. And if you did, then I want to invite you to connect with me, because I can truly help you do that. I can truly help you become that have it all rockstar mom who enjoys everything in her life and who's living like a CEO, performing at 10x level and enjoying everything that comes with it. You really can do it. And not only can you do it, when you start doing it, you're going to give other women permission to do it as well. Just like when I did it, when I'm so glad and forever indebted to my coach because she helped me do it. Until then, I thought it wasn't possible. And she helped me create the life that I so love now, right? And I am so in love with it that I want to give this gift to every single woman. And because I experienced it, I am helping so many other women do it. And what will happen, imagine if you do it. You will give permission to your kids to be able to do it. You will give permission to so many other women to be able to live that life for themselves, to have it all. And imagine the kind of society we're going to create where every woman feels that liberation inside, the freedom inside to create and live the life they want. It's my vision. It's that dreamland that I often aspire to create. So, if you want to create that for yourself, then I want to invite you to book a session with me where we can talk about you and your life. I would want to learn about you, and I would want to learn what your specific challenges are and how I can help you overcome those challenges to create the dream life we just talked about. So my website is www.mindtalesconsulting.com, and you can see book consultation button right at the top bottom corner, bottom right corner, and you can just click it, and it is going to book a meeting for us so we can connect. Or you can also email me at kavita.popli@mindtalesconsulting.com, and we can coordinate a time that works for you. So I am truly excited to be talking to you, to be understanding what your specific challenges are, and to be making you the rock star mom that you absolutely have the power to be. I look forward to speaking with you. Now, if you still don't feel like you're ready to talk to me yet, then I would love for us to stay in touch. You can subscribe to my weekly newsletter by visiting the website www.mindtalesconsulting.com, and you can access the podcast that I referred to. It's called Mind Tales. This is the podcast where I share the stories of my clients on how they are applying all of these to completely change their lives, right? And I also share my own stories of this continual work that I continue to do on myself to overcome my fears and create my dream life. So we have done 35 plus episodes so far, so you can tune into these episodes by uh, downloading any podcast app like Castbox or Podcast Addict or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Or you can even go to the website, and there is a podcast section there where all of the podcasts are directly linked. So you can even hear my podcast there. You're going to find this extremely helpful, like many of my women do. A lot of women have just, started changing their lives just by listening to the podcast. And you can follow me on social media, Mindtales Consulting page, where I post all the updates and a lot of other information, other posts to help you change your life. Then my Instagram account and handle is lifecoach_Kavita Popli. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. My name is Kavita Popli. If you search that, you will be able to find it. So let's stay in touch. I'm looking forward to interact with you in some capacity. And I look forward to speaking with you hopefully soon so you can also turn into a rockstar mom. Thank you.